Hello Tanga, welcome to Kali Classroom. This is the third lecture on the topic Money and Credit. CBSE 10th Standard Economics Chapter 3. Here we are going to look at the third lecture in Chapter 3 Money and Credit. Before we get into the lecture, let us look at what we are going to study. First we will study what is the significance of credit. We already know what is credit. Credit is simply there is a borrower, there is a lender. The lender is giving some money to the borrower. The borrower is promising to the lender that he will pay back in the future with some extra money, which is going to be called as interest. The money that the lender is giving to the borrower is called as principal. The borrower is going to give back to the lender. The borrower is going to give back to the lender the principal along with some extra money, which is called as interest. Now we will study what is the significance of this credit. How is credit or loan helping the development of our nation, helping the poor households, not just in rural areas, even in urban areas. What is the role of credit in the development, in the economy of our nation? Before we get into the lecture, let us look at some questions which are very commonly asked in the board from this particular lecture, which are very commonly asked in the CBSE board exams in this particular lecture. What is credit? Yeah, we will simply write the definition of loan or credit. Why is credit affordable? Why is cheap and affordable credit important for country's development? The next is cheap and affordable credit is essential for poor households in rural and urban areas. How are we going to validate this statement? Credit also is very unique in its role for the development of the country. Validate these statements. So how are we going to validate the importance of credit? Credit is very important in a country's economical development. It is crucial for the economic development of the country. How, sir? How is economic development of a country happening? By doing various economic activities. What is needed for various economic activities like setting up big and small investments, setting up businesses and buying cars and houses. Credit is needed for doing all these economic activities. So there is always a great demand for credit in the various sections of the society. There is a great demand for credit in the various sections of the society. Let us look at a couple of examples. Let us say, how is credit important in agriculture? There are so many different costs associated with doing agriculture. You need to buy a lot of seeds, you need to get a lot of fertilizers and pesticides, also water, electricity, equipment repair. There are so many ways in which money has to be spent in order to get money returns, in order to get a good harvest from agriculture. So agriculture needs credit. Funds to farmers is necessary for their development. So what about industrialists? What about manufacturers? Manufacturers need a lot of raw material, and in every stage of production they have a lot of production costs that needs to be handled with credit. Purchase of plant, purchase of machinery, purchase of equipment is done with the help of credit. So small and medium scale enterprises, SMEs, they are shortened as SMEs. What is a SME? Small and medium scale enterprises need credit for their development. Sir, not just these. Credit is also needed in case of emergencies, in case of illness, in case of an accident, in case of marriages. Okay, you need credit. What are the qualities associated with the credit, sir? Credit helps in self-reliance and independence of a business handler, of a business man, of somebody who is handling agricultural enterprises or industrial enterprises. So what is self-reliance and independence? They need not depend on somebody else to get money for their investments. They can simply get money from a formal source like bank. Also, this results in financial security because the poor people are being given credit. There is no need for the poor people to go to very harsh money lenders. So the poor are being saved from the harsh money lenders. The poor are being saved from the harsh money lenders. What about, when you are giving credit to the poor, the poor are doing some business and they are slowly getting some money. By giving credit to the poor, you are in turn eradicating poverty. These are the ideas how the idea of credit or loans is very, very important to the economic development of our country. Okay, now let us look at the two different types of credit. Formal sources of credit and informal sources of credit. What are formal sources of credit? Formal sources of credit are banks and cooperatives. What about informal sources of credit? Informal sources of credit are money lenders, traders, employers, relatives and friends. Money lenders, traders, employers, relatives and friends. Okay, the simple idea is a formal source of credit is authorized by a governing body. The informal source of credit has no such authorization. That is the basic difference. Sir, under whose authorization is the formal sources of credit like banks and cooperatives working under? We will study about cooperatives in the next lecture. In the next lecture, we will study about cooperatives and SHGs. What are cooperatives and SHGs means self-help groups. Will be handled in the fourth lecture of this unit. Let us come back to the lecture. Under what body does banks work on? Under whose supervision are banks managed? Banks are managed under the supervision of RBI. What is RBI, sir? RBI is Reserve Bank of India. What is RBI? Reserve Bank of India. Okay. RBI is checking the commercial banks whether they are maintaining the minimum cash balance. In the last lecture we studied that the banks need to maintain at least 15% liquid cash balance in their place so that they will be able to give their borrowers who are coming to withdraw money on a daily basis, so that they can handle the borrowers who want to withdraw money on a daily basis. Okay, so that is checked whether by the RBI whether the banks are maintaining 15% liquid cash on their side. Also, the RBI is allowing the banks to not just give loans to the profit-making businesses and traders. The banks must not only give loans to the profit-making businesses and traders, the banks must also give loans to who? To small-scale industries, to small manufacturers and small cultivators and self-help groups. These people must be encouraged. Let us say there is a very small shop. With what kind of shop? Stitching shop, a tailor shop. That shop needs some money in order to increase its capacity of manufacturing. That has to be handled by the formal sector like banks. They should not be approaching the informal sectors. Okay, let us continue. The RBI also issues guidelines. So why are the RBI issuing guidelines? What kind of guidelines? Guidelines on the interest rates on both the deposits and the lending. The bank is giving some interest to the people who are depositing money. Yeah, the bank is getting some interest from the people who are borrowing money. The bank is giving some interest to the people who are depositing money. The bank is getting some interest from the people who are borrowing money. These interest rates are managed with respect to the guidelines given by the RBI. Also, periodically the banks need to submit info to the RBI about their lending practices, to whom they are lending money, what is the interest with which they are lending money, what kind of amount they are lending to each and every borrower. Such data is often checked periodically by the RBI. So this is the very significant role of RBI in our banking system. Okay, let me do a very small recollection about RBI. RBI is the institution under the guidance of the government of India. It is going to print money. It is going to print money. And RBI is authorizing the value of money. For this, let me give you an example. I just wanted to show this to you. If you take any currency note, there will be a statement written here. So what is written here? I promise to pay the bearer of this note, currency note. I promise to pay the bearer a sum of 200 rupees. What is the meaning of bearer? Bearer means someone who is holding the currency note. So under this statement, I promise to pay the bearer a sum of rupees 200. Under this statement, whose seal is given? RBI, Reserve Bank of India seal is given. So the Reserve Bank of India is saying that it is assuring me 200 rupees value because I have this piece of paper. This piece of paper per se does not have any value. We already studied in the last lecture, right? We already studied in the last lecture. This piece of paper does not have any inherent value. If you tear this note, that's it. It does not have any value. It is not like gold. If you beat gold, it has value. If you melt gold, it has value. But a currency note, modern forms of currency, does not have any value. It has value because it is authorized by the RBI. You can check it in any currency note. It will be written, I promise to pay the bearer the sum of whatever currency note value you are holding. Yeah? Can we get back to this lecture? Did you enjoy that small diversion? Can we get back to this lecture? Yeah, come on. So this is how RBI is supervising the banks. Sir, who is supervising the informal sources of credit? Who is supervising our relatives, friends, money lenders, employers and traders who are lending money? Nobody is supervising them. No organization is supervising the informal sources of credit. Yeah, that is a very big problem over here. Let us go for the next difference. The bank requires proper documentation and collateral. The bank requires proper documentation and collateral when they are giving credit. What about informal sources of credit? In informal sources of credit, they do not need any such collateral. That is one of the significant differences. Without collateral, how can the lender trust the borrower? Even without collateral, the lender might know the entire family history of the borrower, where the borrower is living, where the borrower is working. Because of this relation, a lot of times in informal sources of credit, there is no need for collateral. Okay, what is the next difference, sir? The rate of interest from borrowers is low and optimal. For whom is it optimal? Optimal for the borrower. The borrower will always want lesser rate of interest. So, because RBI is managing the formal sources of credit like commercial banks. Commercial banks are formal sources of credit. It is being managed by the RBI. Who is managing? Commercial banks, RBI. So, RBI will fix the interest rates for different types of loans. So, the rate of interest for borrowers is low and optimal. With respect to formal sources of credit, the interest rate is very high. The interest rate is very high. Where? In the informal sources of credit. Why? Because there is no need for collateral and there is no supervision by an organizing body. These are the four major differences. First, we saw what are the formal sources of credit, what are informal sources of credit. Who is supervising formal sources? Nobody is supervising informal sources. Then we saw you need documentation, proper documentation, collateral for formal sources credits. Here for informal sources credit, no such collateral is required. Rate of interest is low and optimal. In case of formal sources, it is very high. In case of informal sources. Let us try to look at what is the situation in India with respect to informal sources. In informal sources, large part of the earnings is used for repaying the loans. So it is used for repaying the loans. The borrowers are having less money for themselves. We saw this in the case of Swapna, right? The groundnut farmer Swapna, she got loan from the money lender. After a bad case of harvest, because she got pests, she was not able to get any proper money out of it. She got stuck in a debt trap. A lot of times, the large part of the earnings of the borrower is used for repaying the loan itself. A lot of times in informal sources, the interest is more than the actual principal. What is principal? The original amount that the borrower is getting from the lender. The borrower is getting from the lender is called as principal. What is interest? The borrower is giving something extra back to the lender. The borrower is giving something extra back to the lender. This is called as interest. A lot of times in informal sources, the interest is higher than the what? Principal itself. Because of this, the poor people are getting stuck in the debt trap. The borrowers have less money for themselves after paying the entire loan amount with interest to the lender. 85% of loans in rural households are from informal credit. 10% of loans are from rich households. 10% of loans are from rich households in informal credit. There is a very high variation. Poor households, 85% of poor households are getting credit from informal sources. Only 10% are getting loans from formal sources. So, a lot of poor people are easily getting stuck in debt trap. In fact, with respect to the entirety of India, only half the credit needs of our population are addressed. Half the credit needs, half the loan needs of our population are addressed by the formal sources. Sir, how are we going to improve this present scenario? We are going to improve this scenario by banks and cooperatives must increase their lending in rural areas. So banks and cooperatives are lending a lot, but they should increase the amount they are lending, the number of people they are lending in rural areas, such that the poor people in the rural areas will be prevented from borrowing informal sources of credit, will be prevented from borrowing in informal sources of credit. Right, what is the next thing, sir? The formal sources, the formal sector loans need to expand. Each and every person has a lot of needs. The formal sources must structure their loans such that the needs of different classes of people will be met. Right. So, looking at this, we are able to understand that the formal sources of credit needs to be encouraged. The informal sources of credit needs to be discouraged. The formal sources of credit need to be encouraged because the rate of interest is low. They are comfortable for not the borrower. They are helping the economy of our country. The informal sources of credit must be discouraged. Formal, encouraged. Informal, discouraged. Why should the informal be discouraged? Because a large part of the earnings that the borrower is getting is usually given back to the lender as their interest. So there is very less money for the borrowers themselves. They are getting stuck in debt trap. Also, in rural money lenders use often unfair means to get their money back. Their interest is very high. The rural money lenders use a lot of unfair means to get their money back. Sir, give a sample of unfair means. The money lender might go to the home of the borrower, simply sit in the home and say, yeah, first you give my money back. First give my money back. Once you give my money back with interest, I will get up and go away. Until then, I will be sitting in your home. Such kind of unfair practices might happen and will happen in rural areas. So, dependence on informal sector needs to be discouraged. Yeah. So, in this lecture, we have studied importance of credit, formal sector, informal sector, why formal must be encouraged, why informal must be discouraged. Right. So, if you like this lecture, subscribe to us, click the bell icon to keep regularly updated with whatever is happening in our channel. Also, we will be doing regular updates on all weekdays. Follow us. Yeah. Give our link to your friends. Let's grow together. Cheers. Thank you.